All right, guys, Treadmill Talks, we're back. We are back to the OG forest where it all began. Today we're going to talk about the biggest green flag. And right out of the gate, obviously, this one's not a big surprise, but it's a girl that doesn't have social media. Now, it's not for the reasons that you think, though. You'll see why. Now, this topic is fascinating because it actually extends to a much larger societal problem and kind of human nature and human evolution. So it's kind of like technology and human evolution clashing together, where the human brain was not, we are not able to deal with the ramifications. So the biggest green flag, and it's so rare, it's basically almost impossible to find because now people are being raised with social media. But if you can actually find a girl that does not have social media, it's a needle in a haystack, man. And it's not because like girls on social media have like 100 dudes sliding into their DMs every day. That's a little bit of it. Not really, though. Because if a girl truly, genuinely loves you as a man, and like you're the best for her, I should say, ain't no guy gonna be able to do anything in the DMs, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how many thousands of DMs she has, she's smitten with you, right? So it's not that. Now, if you guys remember that video I did about the biggest red flag, the biggest red flag was, I thought about it more later, but it was the woman's ability to firewall injected ideas and their lack of ability to do that. I thought about it more, and it was more like comparison. That's basically what the entire crux of the problem is comparison is the thief of joy. Now, so do you guys remember that air conditioning video I did where this will kill all relationships, and it was the human normalization problem? So the human brain, men and women, this is a problem for both genders, but women have a much harder time being minimalists. But the problem is, I'll explain why in a sec. You have this human normalization combined with the ability to compare what you have with others on social media, if that makes sense. So for our brains are wired to have like the grass is greener syndrome all the time. So you're always looking at your neighbor to see what they have so that you have the same thing. You're always looking at your friends to see where they are. So if all your friends have like families and you don't, you feel left out. On the flip side, if all your friends are single and you're the only one with a family, you wish you were single too, right? Because everyone only posts their highlights, right? So that's why social media is the biggest cancer. Now, so let's say you get with a chick, you get a girlfriend, right? It's great for about 6 months until the novelty of the relationship and you starts being normalized. Now you're just the boyfriend now. You're not the new boyfriend. There's not so much for her to post about you on social media anymore. Now, she sees all of her friends, let's say Valentine's Day is coming up, right? She sees all of her friends getting flowers, bouquets, chocolates, extravagant things from her boyfriends. Now, if you don't do that, It's your problem now. Which that's the main problem. So not just Valentine's Day, everything. So her friends got a new house. She wants a new house. Her friends went on vacation to Mexico. She wants a vacation to Mexico. It's this constant bombardment of highlight reels of what her friends are all doing. Never mind just her friends, just people she follows. So if she follows, you know, the human brain only has the capacity to like have like 500 people in your tribe, something like that. So if she follows a lot of like influencer type people and they're flying to Dubai and they're on yacht parties every weekend, she's wondering why she doesn't have that, because she sees that every single day on her feed, right? But in a more realistic context, it's much simpler than that. It's basically, as a woman, because women have such a harder time being minimalists than men do, this hits them much harder, right? A guy can wear the same sweatpants from like high school, or like the same pair of jeans. He doesn't care, right? A woman is in this constant battle of like making sure she's up with the trends of fashion, makeup, always competing to look good with her friend groups, always comparison. Now, we as human beings didn't evolve to deal with that much comparison, right? Because if you think, this is a new problem, by the way, new in terms of the human species. If you even go back 30 years, like it's not that long, man. If you think about, like, if let's say we have, 50,000 BC or whatever, 100,000 BC. So we have like, let's just, for example, we have 102,000 years of not having social media. And then we got 30 years of having social media. Like we're screwed, dude, we're screwed. Because let's say even if you go back 50 years, 1970s or whatever, 1960s, the circle of comparison that a woman's brain had to deal with was like maybe the local town pub or maybe the little town that they lived in. So like if you were in a little town, let's say a couple of thousand people, your neighbors all kind of had the same houses. All the men kind of worked in the same factory. All the women were just kind of at home with the kids, with the other women that were all home with the kids. So this whole fear of missing out, comparison, social media problem just like didn't exist. I think that's all a different kind of aside here, but I think that's also why people generally tended to be way happier back then too. The same reason why Amish marriages seem to be so successful as well. I guess you could take the modern day Amish. They don't have social media. They don't have these problems, man. Their religious belief of having no technology at all, I think that's a bit extreme, like electricity and stuff, but it does make sense, doesn't it? It does. So how is a human brain supposed to deal with that? So you take Betty, let's say her name's Betty. You take her from the 60s or 70s where there's no internet, and her comparison brain is like, well, everyone in my town is the same, kind of. I married a good man, a good worker. All the other men are also all just good workers, and everyone just kind of chills and barbecues on the weekends. So there's like, maybe it is kind of a hypergamy thing, a little bit. But it's like, her brain is satisfied. That's it. There's no, this person's going to Cabo, this person's going to Mexico, this person just had another kid. How come they can afford it and I can't? It's just like, because the problem is, nobody is gonna post about their miserable lives on social media. It's only the highlight reels. This is not new information that nobody said before, but no matter how deeply you drill in that idea, it does not matter. It doesn't. Even something, so I was talking to a girl that streams the other day, like a streamer chick, and she's pretty cute. She's like a 6.5. She's not anything crazy, but she's cute. She's cute enough, right? And all this, but she's an amazing gamer though. She's incredible. But all she complains about is how she's not pretty enough. And she'll never make it because she's not as pretty as the other girls. I'm like, what a existence to live in, man. It's brutal. Like, I don't, like, it sucks. I'm sure it sucks for them too, right? Where it's like, I'm sure a lot of guys feel this way too, where like, if you're a man and you're going on a date with a girl and you strike out, let's say, for example, you come home on your social media feed, and it's all like dudes with yachts and Lambos getting all the chicks. Again, that's just a highlight reel. You know it's a highlight reel. You know it's only them posting the good parts of their day, not the parts where they're having screaming matches, they're having plates thrown at them. Like, you don't see that, you never see that stuff. So, again, the biggest green flag is no social media. Now, I have met a few women that they've kind of realized that when they go through like these social media detoxes, they tend to be just generally happier. That might be one way to go about it if you're dating somebody. Do like a couple's social media detox. Mainly TikTok and Instagram, let's be fair. That's just brutal. But it's the comparison part of it. So like, you could literally just be, so that's why women always kind of say things like, after I start dating a guy, he like gives up, I'm sure that does happen, but he gives up, he lets go, I lost attraction over time, the spark is gone, and it has literally nothing to do with you at all. It's just that her brain had normalized you, and her brain is comparing and FOMOing to everything she's seeing on social media. Now, here's the biggest problem, is when you actually come to that real, and okay, so we're gonna get into some practical advice here. Man, this is so tough because you can't tell them that. Because if you do, you come off, it's so fascinating, dude. It's like it's like you see, this is how I'm gonna equate this. You see your girl starting to do drugs or drink a bunch of alcohol, and you can clearly see it's not good for them. You can clearly see it. Like, you're gonna destroy your life. Social media is the same. You can't say anything. If you do, you are deemed controlling, insecure, let me do what I want with my life. As soon as you try to do what's best for them, they will their brains will firewall you away from their social media reality. Been there, man, been there. I couldn't believe what I saw. Trust me. Now, I actually had this conversation with my ex a little while back because she in her mind, I had this exact same conversation. In her mind, she couldn't understand why men always seem to change after you're in a committed relationship. And I had to explain it to her, where I'm like, look, when a man is not committed to you and you can do whatever you want, that because he doesn't care about you, because coincidentally is also why they're the most attractive too, right? So because your life decisions as a female do not impact his life. On the flip side, if you're married or in a committed relationship, you doing drugs or you playing the comparison game on TikTok now has direct ramifications to your man's happiness. You saying, oh, Debbie got a new purse this week, I want a new purse too, now it affects your man. Now your decisions are directly affecting another human being. They don't see it that way though. That's the biggest problem. So, the practical advice about all this, which is funny because I tested this last year, where, dude, it's so funny. Everything is so backwards, man. I put like a artificial line in the sand, personally, because you can't actually control another human being's decisions and behaviors. All you can really do is just lead by example and protect yourself. So when these like red pill or dating gurus tell you the only way to actually keep a woman is to literally not care what she does, it's true. It's because there's a multiple reasons why, but when you don't give a shit, it signals that you are the best option for her because you don't care. If she ruins her own life, you can go find another woman. So it satisfies hypergamy and all that shit, right? But from like a regular guy's standpoint, it seems so insufferably insane that here's the oxymoron or the paradox of the whole thing. This is what I tested. I'm like, I'm going to date and live in such a way where, because I'm divorced obviously, and the whole comparison social media thing was probably like number 2, maybe even number 1 on the list of why we got divorced, because that girl couldn't stop comparing her life to her friends, right? She could not stop. And then all of a sudden her comparison problems became my problems, right? How do you make somebody happy that's constantly comparing themselves to everybody else on social media? You can't. You physically cannot. So don't even bother playing that game. You have to find a girl that's not playing that game either. It's the only way. It's the only way. So you have to find a minimalist girl. So I drew a line in the sand I'm like, I'm gonna live in such a way where a woman's own toxic behaviors will never affect me again. You wanna compare your life to your friends? Do it. You want to go to your company Christmas party and get drunk? Do it. You want to go to Mexico? Do it. Do whatever you want. Just never bother me. That's all I say now. Just don't bother me. I don't care. And that way, if she sees her friends, it's interesting because it works for a while, but eventually the poison drip. Eventually, this is how you kind of can tell if she's a good one or not. Kind of like a weird way to firewall them. But like, if eventually she'll see that all of her friends, like she's constantly pinging her friends for the whole comparison thing. It's so funny because they don't seem to see the negatives. So like, it's like they can clearly see that all their married couple friends are just like miserable and arguing all the time. And yet she still wants to get married because they all are, right? That seems like a natural progression in life. It's a comparison problem. So anyway, the way you can see if she has the green flag is you're like, you can go do all the drugs, alcohol, you can do whatever the hell you want, just don't bother me. And then what will happen, and you can't fake it, obviously if you fake it, they're gonna pick up on it. You have to truly believe that. You have to truly believe that you just don't give a shit what they do, right? As long as it doesn't affect your life. Funny enough, what's gonna actually happen is they're not gonna do any of that. They're gonna, because their brains are gonna be like, I'm with such a high value man that I wanna prove to him that I'm not gonna introduce chaos into his life. Therefore, I'm not gonna play the comparison game. I'm not gonna bring drama into his life. It works very well, man, I'll tell you. It's fascinating. The problem is, it will only last so long, and eventually she will want a relationship of some sort. And then after that, I don't know what to do about that. So it's like, I guess this is kind of the point of the whole video, is if a woman has a social media comparison problem, even if you get her out of it, she will go back to it once you're in the relationship or once you're married. Once her brain normalizes you as part of her life, or like you're locked in, or she doesn't have to worry about you leaving anymore, or she has no competition. Once you're normalized in her vision of her life, the comparison social media problem will come back. And then when it does, she's going to make all of her comparison problems your problems. And now you're stuck. Now she owns half your net worth, or she lives with you, or now she has direct impact over your happiness by way of her actions. Now you're screwed. You're done. It's over. It's over. Because you can't just pretend not to care. She literally lives in the same house as you. So you can't kick her out if she's being a bitch. You're done. You have to like negotiate, and you have to be like, yo, get off social media. What are you doing? Don't control me. And then you're like, I don't want you to do drugs. How about you go to therapy or something and find out why you want to escape drugs? Don't control me. I'm an adult woman. Whereas, so it's funny because you know how they always say women turn men into men they don't want anymore? That's exactly what's going on. When the woman knows that she can impact your life or she has you locked down, she will now make decisions that are self-destructive, not for the benefit of the relationship, for the benefit of her FOMO and comparison. She will make decisions that are destructive, that are now wasting your time, impacting your happiness, impacting your life. And from the beginning, if you had have just said, you do whatever you want, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And as long as we are functional together, I'm okay being committed, but I'm never gonna put myself in a position where your actions and your social media addiction will ever affect my happiness. If you wanna go down this FOMO path of like, well, she has a new car, like Debbie has a new car, my car works perfectly fine, but I don't want to be the only one without a new car. Therefore, I'm going to go into debt for 7 years to go and buy this new car to keep up appearances. And then now it's your problem as the man. Like, this is toxic ass shit, man. Stop. Find you a woman that does not have social media. And what the goal is there, or an Amish chick, the goal is there, you want to condense. It's almost like, strange analogy, but you know how when they race horses, they put like those blinders on the horses so that their eyes can only look straight and not look around to the other horses? It's so they go straight or whatever, right? But that's kind of what you want in a woman too. You want her to like look down, like metaphorically, look down and put blinders on and only focus on the goal that you two have together as a couple. If her eyes start looking at social media, and the problem is social media is global now. So like, she doesn't even understand that maybe the Australian dollar isn't as strong as like the euro. She only sees the purse. She doesn't understand economics at all, you know what I'm saying? You gotta like find a girl that like is either super switched on and put the blinders on herself, or you need to find a girl that just, there are some girls, I've met some, there are some girls out there that just naturally have blinders because they actually don't like the feeling of feeling FOMO. They don't like it. There are some minimalist girls out there. They do exist. Usually not this new generation of 20-year-olds though. I have not seen any minimalists that are in their 20s now. Usually 30s, like my generation. They've kind of figured it out because they have a perception of what life was like before social media, and I think they remember being happier, so they just like turn all that shit off, right? Anyway, that's the biggest green flag in a woman. A woman with no social media, or I guess maybe one that has the horse blinders on to realize that comparison is the thief of joy. All right, guys, hit the subscribe button. Share the video with all your friends. Share the video with maybe your girlfriend or your spouse or somebody that needs to hear this from a third party, somebody that you might know has a comparison social media problem. Anyway, guys, see you in the next one.